For over 5,000 miles now, I've been driving my Tesla Model 3, and if you follow the channel, you know I've put this thing through pretty much every test possible, pushing the bounds of what this car is currently able to do. Don't worry, this is not a review video, as I haven't owned it long enough to really have an accurate review. Today what we're more going to do is talk about my impressions about owning this car up to this time. We're going to talk about my buying experience, autopilot versus navigated autopilot, and would I still recommend buying full self-drive. We're going to go over my cost of owning this car up to this point versus what I used to pay with my old vehicle. And of course, we're going to cover some negatives that I've run into while owning this car even at this point. This is going to be totally honest. This is meant for you guys to get a good impression of what it's like in the first couple months of owning this car. Now, as much as I would like to think you guys are going to sit there and watch all 50 minutes of this full video, I am not that delusional. So what I've done is I've broken it down into 5 different videos. I'm going to release them back to back, one today, one tomorrow, and so on until all 5 are out. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that, and make sure you click that bell notification so that you can follow along through these series. So today what we're going to cover is my buying experience from beginning to end, as well as my driving experience from the beginning all the way till now with this car. Things like autopilot, auto park, and things like that. Now, let's get this video started. So let's get this fired off with talking about my buying experience. So first of all, why did I even buy this car? Well, back in August 2019, I started seeing signs that my Infiniti was starting to go. I'd owned it for almost 9 years, and it was starting to show signs of starting to need to be replaced. I mean, I was putting in a little over $1,000 a year. The last year, 2019, I put in about $2,500 that year of parts to do with engine type related stuff, just keeping the car running. So it was about time. My brother-in-law had let me drive his Model S months back, and that was my first real eye-opening to the power and how great Teslas were. Then a couple months after that, my parents bought a Stealth Model 3, which I got to spend quite a bit of time in and of course completely fell in love with. Shortly after that, I turned into that extremely annoying husband who doesn't shut up about something to his wife. And in about September time, she finally gave in and said, okay, tomorrow we can go look at the Model 3. I was so excited, and I wanted the full experience. I wanted to make a whole day out of it, which I highly recommend. We woke up early in the morning and headed out for a nice breakfast somewhere. Then we made our way up to the Bellevue Tesla location. My hope was to find a Stealth Model 3, and I really didn't care if it was Stealth what color it was at that point. But if I couldn't get a Stealth, what I wanted to get was just a blue Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive model. And so that's really what I was looking for. Unfortunately, 5 minutes after I walked into that Bellevue location, I turned around and walked straight back out. The Yahoo I got matched up with as soon as I walked in the door, the quote salesperson, acted like he'd rather be anywhere else in the world than sitting there talking to me. And when I brought up that I was looking for a Stealth Model 3, he looked at me like I just made up the word and gave me absolutely no help whatsoever on finding one. Keep in mind, my parents 2 weeks earlier had just bought one. I was completely turned off by this guy. It's like someone just popped the balloon. I looked over at my wife and she hadn't said a word the whole time, which if you know my wife, there's something wrong if she's not yapping. And so I looked at her and we both said, yeah, we're not buying from here. There was no way I was going to let my day, this was my sought after long day, there was no way I was going to let this day go away. I was going to have the experience I was looking for. So we took off over to the Seattle location. And let me tell you, it was everything I dreamed about. When we walked in the store, the guy literally yelled across the store like, hey, welcome, let me help you. And came running over to us, and it was awesome. He was excited. He loved talking to us. He clearly loved the product. It was everything we were looking for. 60 minutes later, I had spent $59,000, fast as I've ever spent that kind of money. And of course, that was before tax. So here's what I got. So as you probably figured out, I did not end up getting a Stealth model, but I did get my second favorite, which was the Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive, deep blue metallic, 19-inch sport wheels with the black and white premium interior, autopilot included, as well as the full self-drive package. And you can see when I bought it, I only paid $6,000. Of course, they tack on a destination and documentation fee, and that came to $58,690. So no, I didn't pay this all cash. I financed part of the loan. So here's the total cost of the loan if I paid the loan the way it was written. I went with a 72-month loan with no intention of actually paying it off over those 72 months. I put down a little under $32,000. Now, why did I do that? I wanted to have my monthly payment around $500 a month, so, well, that's what it took. I got a 3.75 APR, which I know you can shop around and find it cheaper other places slightly from what I've seen online, but I wanted the simplicity and the full experience of just doing it right there at Tesla, and plus the savings wasn't all that great from what I've heard shopping around. The finance charges were almost $4,000, so I ended up having a loan balance of a little over $33,000. So if I continued paying the loan the way it was written, I would have ended up paying over the 72 months just a little under $69,000 for the car, and that wasn't even a performance model, which of course is not going to happen. If I applied just $500 a month more towards my car each month, that would pay it off 3 years and 1 month sooner, or 37 months. So no, my total payment then would be $500 a month extra plus the $515 original payment, making it $1,015 a month being applied to this vehicle. Now, once that car is paid off, if I took that $1,015 and just applied it to an investment program averaging just even 7%, over that 37 months I would have otherwise been paying that mortgage payment, that would have grown to a little over $42,000, which really helps bring down the cost of that car. I was told my car would be ready the next day at a location right there in Seattle, but a different one. So of course I went home and slept like a baby. Just kidding, I didn't sleep at all. I was so excited. I didn't have a ride, so Tesla sent out an Uber to pick me up, which was super cool of them. They dropped me off while I was sitting right next to my beautiful car with like 3 feet to the side of me, and I could hear it calling me like, "Come on, Cody, let's go." By then, I had watched so many YouTube videos, I knew more about my car than the guy selling it to me did. So eventually he just said, "You know what, why don't you just take it and go?" They raised up the doors and I left. For the next 48 hours, my jaw was cramped because I was smiling so much on my first drive home. I couldn't believe this was actually my car. Now let's talk about the driving experience. When I got the car, the one pedal driving was the first thing I had to start getting used to. And it didn't take long. I actually found really quickly that I liked it. Now when I got it back in October, the car would only go down to 5 miles per hour with the regenerative braking, and then it would coast. Not long after I bought it though, an update came out that brought what they call stopping mode, where if you go into the settings and move the little slider over to stopping, or hold I think they call it, what happens is now it would go and come to a complete stop. So that was yet another little bit of a learning curve that I had to get used to, but even still at that, it really only took me maybe 1 or 2 drives to get it down. The way that Tesla put it together is about the time you would start pressing on the brake to stop at a stop sign or a car in front of you, that's pretty much when you would take your foot off the accelerator inside your Tesla. The exception of this being if a car cut in front of you really quick or you're about to miss a turn, then of course I found, well, you got to use your brake. Also, I've been told by a lot of my amazing viewers that it's good to use the brake now and then just to keep the discs clean and the rotors clean. I have heard that the car will do this automatically now and then to help prevent this, but it's probably a good thing to do anyway. Traffic. We have to talk about traffic. Traffic is a big part of living in Seattle, and those of us who commute all the time in traffic, we know how annoying traffic can be and how stressful it can be with constant corrections. That's the thing that makes driving in traffic so difficult, is constantly accelerator, brake, steer, all this stuff that goes into it. It's not hard, it's just boring. The first time I put in an autopilot in traffic, I seriously sat there smiling for like probably 3 straight minutes until people beside me started looking at me like, what's wrong with that guy? It is unreal. You put it in autopilot, not even navigate in autopilot. In fact, I found that just regular autopilot is my favorite while driving in traffic because I really don't want to worry about it changing lanes. You guys remember the Office episode where every time you jumped in a different lane, the other lane would go faster? That's the thing, is that the car's not thinking like that. When it's on autopilot, it's looking ahead and it's always going to get in the lane that's moving better. But you know how traffic works. Once you get there, it's the lane you were just in that is now going faster. So it kind of gets annoying when you're on navigate and autopilot in traffic. Until they adjust that setting, I really don't think I'll be using that part of navigate and autopilot while in traffic. Instead, I love using regular autopilot and then me just telling it when to change lanes, which you can only do if you have the full self-drive package. But it makes it very, very nice. You turn on an audiobook, some good music, whatever, and you just keep that hand on the wheel, sit back and let the car take you to your destination. It is amazing. I drive so many long commuter hours to my different clients' homes and whatnot, and I used to dread it. I used to hate the fact, it's an hour and a half drive down to this location. But now, it doesn't bother me at all. I get excited. I jump in my car. The car already knows where I'm going. It's already programmed into the map, which is so cool. And we just simply go, and the car does its thing, and I do my thing. We're just really good friends. And since we're talking about driving, we have to talk about the speed. Now, I came from a car. We're going to talk about it in a minute. That was the Infiniti FX35, which is over 300 horsepower SUV. It's a pretty fast car. It's sporty. It's fun. But, I mean, obviously it's not in the same category as my Model 3. It did 8.1 seconds 0 to 60, or this car is 4.4 seconds 0 to 60, unless, of course, you get the boost, which I haven't, to increase that even faster. But I have been in cars that did about 4.5 seconds. But when you're in a Model 3 and you accelerate, the difference is, and this is just all electric cars, is you don't hear it. And so I don't know if it just sounds smoother, so it is smoother. I don't know what it is, but it's weird when you accelerate without sound in a very good way, which is just makes you feel, I don't know, like you're going faster than you really are. It's an interesting feeling. When you hear yourself accelerating, it kind of all goes through the mind, right? And you go, okay, well, the sound's getting louder, so I should be going faster. It just makes sense. But when you're accelerating in your Tesla, you don't hear anything other than a tiny whine of the little motors, and you're just shooting off like a rocket. And the first time I did that, I was just like, what? You feel yourself sink back into those seats, and it's just like, yeah, so awesome. And the other thing about the speed is like, it's now. As soon as you hit that accelerator, you're in the back of your seat. No delay, zero delay, which again, if you're coming from electric to electric, you might not notice that much, but coming from an 8-speed transmission like my Infiniti was, yeah, I definitely had a delay. I didn't think I did until I drove my Tesla Model 3. Then I realized, oh, that car had a delay. Of course, the driving experience includes the comfort inside of the cabin. And I have long legs, so one of the problems I've always had with like my MDX that I have now, as well as my Infiniti, is my knees hit the sides of the center console, and it would really start getting sore on longer trips. And that's one thing I noticed right out the bat with how this car is set up. There's so much room for your knees. I'm a total of 6'1", and there's a lot of space in there for me. I have complete comfort, lots of room, lots of space. The elbow where it rests on the center console is perfect on the armrest there. On the left, it's the right height. Everything is really good for me. And I've never had a complaint so far with the comfort inside the car. Now, we can't not talk about autopilot directly because this is one of the most curious things that when you buy a Tesla that you think about. We hear all about a car that someday will drive us autonomously from our home to our work, but until you actually feel the autopilot inside the Model 3, you don't necessarily believe it can actually happen. Those of you guys who've been watching my channel for the last few months, you know any chance I get to test autopilot, whether in construction areas, weather patterns, anything on the road, I pretty much put an autopilot and test it through to see how far and how close we are. My opinion at this point is that it's starting to get a lot closer. Now, notice I said starting. We still have a ways to go before full self-drive is actually full self-drive, in my opinion. I put it through a lot of different tests, and there are times when I'm just like, well, that should have worked, but it didn't. There's certain size of cones that it will decide to go around, and others it will just plow through. So there's so many little things like roundabouts and detours and other things that I have got to really come to trust that it can handle when it comes out before I will ever be able to say this is a full self-driving car. But I'm excited to see how that comes. It's not my job to figure that stuff out. It's my job to test it. So I'm having a ton of fun with that. But am I a believer that it will come? Yes, I absolutely believe it. It has been incredible so far. And if it can do just what it already does right now, I would have still paid the $6,000 I paid to have it, because even the ability to do what I have now, it's worth every penny. It's amazing. If you guys haven't already, check out my 45-minute driving on straight autopilot video that just came out recently, because that is incredible. So it's already able to do some pretty amazing things like that. And once the car is able to stop at stoplights and stop signs and then make turns on inner city streets, we are going to be so close, guys. We're going to be able to do massive, long, insane tests. I can't wait for that. Just think about that. We are close to this year. We're going to see that. And following up on that, I have no regrets, zero, for spending that $6,000 like I mentioned earlier. One of the first things that you see when you get inside this car that totally blew my mind is the sheer volume of window you can see. I mean, there is a lot of space to see from because you don't see the front of your car when you're sitting there. It looks like you're just like the next thing right below the window is the road, which gives you a great field of view. Not only that, when you look up and you see just glass the whole way through, it's amazing. Looking out both your windows, because the door frames are low, especially for a guy who's 6'1", you just see a lot. Coming from the SUVs and stuff I've been through, they were fine, but it's just a lot more in your Model 3, and it's a lot more than the Model S. And if you're someone that has to sit in the back seat of the Model 3, don't worry. You may not have all the leg room of the people in the front, but look at your view. I know this is kind of a rainy day, well, a very rainy day, but look at how open it feels back there because of all the glass. Thanks for watching another one of my videos. It would help me out so much if you would take a second and go down and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I want to just take a quick second now and thank my Patreons for all your support. We are just getting started. Now, we all like to buy awesome new accessories to protect our Model 3 and just make it that much cooler. So take a second and check out our amazing sponsors here offering you guys killer discounts right here on this channel. My goal is to every week do a rate this drive, do some kind of a Tesla vlog type video, and then multiple times a month on Fridays do a review, unboxing, and a giveaway for you guys right here on this channel. You have X-Technor offering you a 15% discount on products like windshield wipers and air cabin filters. You have the Rideshare Shop offering you a 10% discount on A through Z, anything for your Model 3, on products like power lift gates for your trunk, to USB hubs, and so much more. And lastly, you have EV Armor, who champions protecting all those surfaces in your car with amazing wraps like center console wraps to charging port wraps. And they also offer you guys, my subscribers, a 10% discount. To get those discount codes, just go down below in the description. You'll see their links. You'll see my code. Go to their website, enter my code in. You get to save money. Everybody wins. Don't pay more than you have to, guys. All right, I love you all. See you on the next one.